morning from the Bike India channel. Today we are at Bajaj's test track in Chakan to ride a very special motorcycle. Now if you remember, the RC 390 was originally launched in India in 2014. It has come a long way since then with very few minor updates, but this next generation model here is a complete overhaul when compared to it. So let's ride it and tell you all about what it feels like. This version of the RC 390 might not really look that appealing at first glance, but it is something that will probably just grow on you over time. A LED headlight sits inside the new fairing unit that is larger at the front, and it also incorporates the indicators at the edges. The fuel tank can now hold 13.7 liters of petrol compared to the 9.5 liter tank on the previous generation model. At the rear, the RC 390 sports a new exhaust unit which is reminiscent of the ones we see on KTM Moto 3 bikes. The tail section has also been redesigned, and added convenience comes in the form of new seat units and grab rails for the pillion. A nice touch from KTM is the addition of adjustable levers, a flexible gear shifter and a rear brake lever, which will eliminate damage to them in case of a fall. The bike now places a rider in a slightly less aggressive position than before, and the clip-on handlebar unit can be lowered by 14.5mm for a more aggressive riding position on the racetrack. While attacking a set of corners, there was a lot of room to move around quickly while flicking the motorcycle, and thanks to the comfortable seat, it was effortless to spend a lot of time riding it on the track. Powering this motorcycle is the 373cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled motor that puts out 43.5 horsepower and a peak torque of 37 Nm. This translates to a 1 Nm bump up in torque when compared to the previous model. The bike also gets a 40% larger airbox, which has resulted in improved torque delivery. As soon as I slotted the bike into gear and got going, I could feel the high level of refinement. The engine is now mapped to provide a linear power delivery throughout the rev range, and there is very slight surge in pickup once it crosses the 6000 RPM mark. It is a fully different motorcycle when compared to the hooligan nature of the BS3 compliant motor, which now makes it safer and accessible for beginners. On the long back straight, I clocked a respectable top speed of 159 km per hour in 6th gear. The 2022 model sports a trellis frame with a bolt-on subframe and was developed with a focus on saving weight. The bike now has a curb weight of 172 kg. Contributing to the lighter unsprung mass are the newly designed bionic wheels, a hollow front axle and a disc rotor that is mounted directly on the wheel. The suspension setup comprises open cartridge WP Apex upside down forks at the front and a WP Apex shock at the rear. The India spec model does not get adjustable front forks like the international spec RC 390, but I felt that the stock setup did really well on the track as it provided me with a lot of confidence to push the bike harder with every passing lap. It has become more nimble in the way it flicks from one side to another while feeling extremely stable and planted. It also allowed me to correct my inputs when I made an error, which in turn made me quickly grasp the tricky sections of this track where I was riding for the very first time. Further enhancing the superb handling characteristics and allowing for a lot of knee scraping action were the set of Metzeler Sportec M5 tires. Braking duties are handled by a 320mm disc at the front and a 230mm disc at the rear. Like all KTM motorcycles, the brakes are sharp and have great bite. All that was needed to tackle this test track was one finger on the front brake. To make things interesting, KTM have also given it the Supermoto mode, which allows the rear ABS to be switched off. Some of the new features on the RC390 include traction control, a quick shifter, cornering ABS, and the updated TFT dash that we have seen in many of the newer KTM models. The traction control works well and cuts power to the rear wheel if the throttle is jerked open or when the motorcycle detects that the rear is stepping out. The quick shifter performs smoothly when the gears are shifted between 4000 and 6000 RPM, but I needed to use a little more force to upshift when the bike was revving close to the red line. Now we've been riding this motorcycle on the track for a while now, and it's been one hell of a day. What I want to say is KTM tell us that they have built this motorcycle to make it a sharper track tool and also a more refined motorcycle on the road. Considering we've only ridden this on the track today, you're going to have to wait for our road test review. Now coming to the price, this motorcycle is priced at 3.14 lakh ex-showroom, which makes it 36,000 dearer than before. It is evident that KTM have taken sharpening this track tool very seriously while adding some bits to increase the comfort and the electronics that have made it a much safer bike for rookies. We hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the Bike India channel, follow us and stay tuned for more content like this. Thank you.